They say you can teleport anywhere in an instant. If I stand close to you, can you teleport me to the fish shack? Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here, and we're continuing our look into some Generation 1 characters from 1984. This time around we have Skywarp. Skywarp would first be available in 1984. He would also be available in 1985. He would be discontinued in 1986. Of all the three Seeker jets from the original year, which would include himself, Starscream, and Thundercracker, Skywarp was not one of the original Diaclone-made toys. Skywarp was done up afterwards to help expand the line for the Decepticons. And in some ways, it is a nicer design, because the black and purple color scheme really goes very well on him, and it certainly makes him stand out a little bit more than his wave mates did. Now, of course, like Larry mentioned, Skywarp has the ability to teleport. While the full range of his teleportation abilities have not really been shown, he does apparently have an ability similar to that of the character Nightcrawler from the X-Men comic books and such, where he has more line-of-sight teleportation. Basically, any point that he can look to and see, he can successfully teleport himself to. So that helps make Skywarp a rather unpredictable character in battle, since you could go in for an attack on him and he could suddenly disappear, only to reappear behind you and shoot you in the back. This also goes well for the fact that Skywarp is also the practical joker of the Decepticon Seekers. He is known for pulling all sorts of pranks, and no prank is too low for him. But of course, part of that also goes with the fact that Skywarp is also the dumbest of the original Seekers. It's been said that he would be useless as a fighter if it wasn't for Megatron's commands. Although some would say that it should be Starscream's command, since he falls directly under Starscream. But more than likely, Skywarp probably is well aware that Megatron will blow him apart should he push a joke too far or become a nuisance to the Decepticons. And of course, during the events of the 1986 animated film, Skywarp would be one of the characters that would be severely wounded during the battle for Autobot City, and would be cast out into space by the other Decepticons to die. He would be found by Unicron and would be reformatted, but it's unclear whether Skywarp or Bombshell became Cyclonus. There isn't enough evidence to tell us which one became whom, although a fair number of fans seem to lean towards it being Skywarp becoming Cyclonus due to the similar alternate mode as they both become jets. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure, and I'll wait until there's an official saying. Now, of course, since Skywarp has been around since the beginning, there are quite a number of toys available for Skywarp. I've got a few here in my collection. We will show them to you now. Like right here is the Siege version of Skywarp, which is noticeably done up in a dark gray color scheme instead of the black color scheme. This Skywarp was an exclusive to Amazon, and he came with 3 Battlemaster partners. Then, of course, the following year, we would get another Skywarp, done up in the Earthrise series. And he would be sold in a 2-pack at Target stores with Thundercracker, which surprisingly was not the first time that has happened. There have been a few cases from the toy being released in Japan where he would be sold in a 2-pack with Thundercracker. And then, of course, there's the most recent of Skywarps, the Legacy version of Skywarp, which was done up as a core class figure. Unlike his buddies, he didn't come with the shoulder-mounted cannons, but instead came with this strange tuning fork-like weapon, which can be combined with that of a couple of other characters to form a super weapon. Okay, here's one of the major problems for collecting a vintage Skywarp of the G1 era. Like his buddies Starscream and Thundercracker, he has a boatload of loose parts to find. And that, of course, makes it extra challenging. We'll start off here with the large wings. Yes, the previous owner put the Decepticon symbols upside down on this toy. This one isn't mine. Or at least, I didn't have it as a child. I bought this one as an adult collector. And we have here 2 tail fins. Which, of course, fold around to the back so you can see the back sides of them. And then we have 2 tail wings. You'll notice on the back sides of them, they have a hollow portion near the back. And you have 2 fists. You have a right fist and a left fist. And there's supposedly a variation of the fists, one that has this clip on it, and one that is totally solid like it is on the opposite side here. I personally haven't seen that one, but supposedly it's out there. Then we have 2 of these weapon launchers. These, of course, have been neutered on the American release, so they do not fire. And they're both the same, so... And we have 2 guns. And 2 missiles. Of course, these things are supposed to connect into the launchers. The launchers don't always hold them very well. I've seen in used parts markets where people have glued the weapons into the launchers. Please don't do that. And then lastly is the one part that is universally shared by all of the Seekers, including the 1985 characters, and that is the front landing gear. It is just a plastic pole, and it has a pair of metal wheels on it. And that covers all of the pieces. Alright, now that we've got Skywarp completely stripped of all of his parts, it's easier to look at his articulation. The only type that he has is in his arms. At the shoulder, you know, you can show, they can go towards the back like that, and they can rotate all the way around. But of course, when he's got all the accessories on him, his arms do get caught on his wings. So that does make it very difficult to get him into any good poses. But at any rate here, we're going to transform him. He's very simple to transform, it's just he has so many pieces that you have to take off and attach. But since we got all the pieces already off, we're already halfway there. We take the nose cone and we will fold it up to cover his head. It reminds me of some trivia about the nose cone. On the 1984 checklist, the nose cone on Skywarp is done in purple. But the later retail releases would make it a black rubber piece. Alright, once you've got that up there, we'll move his head back, bend it, so that way it keeps the nose pointing upward. And then push it through the body. It'll bring the cockpit up. Once it's cleared of his chest area, just fold the nose cone up, lock it into place. Fold the arms back into the shoulder and get them connected in so they form a nice smooth connection. And then you can fold the cockpit right against it. Then we come back here and we'll fold up his feet to form the rear landing gear. We got these pieces here in the midsection. Shift them so the holes are to the sides. And then we start attaching pieces. And we'll put the landing gear here in this hole. That way he'll stay standing up for us. Alright, now let's take a look at Skywarp's tech spec. It's got a picture here of Skywarp. It would have matched the one on the front of the box. It's done in purple to show he's a Decepticon. It even says that above the picture. It gives his name as Skywarp and lists his function as Warrior. There's a quote associated with Skywarp which says, "Strike when the enemy isn't looking." Skywarp is the sneakiest of all Decepticons. Enjoys playing cruel pranks on fellow Decepticons and appearing out of nowhere to attack Autobots. Not too smart. Would be useless without Megatron's supervision. Top speed of 1,500 miles per hour. Can instantly teleport up to 2.5 miles. Carries heat-seeking missiles and variable caliber machine guns. And then over here we have his tech specs. You usually need a red decoder to see this, but I can see the line pretty good. He gives his strength as 7, his intelligence is 9, his speed is 10, his endurance is 7, his rank is 9, his courage is 9, his firepower is 8, and his skill is 8. So this tech spec does not match how it talks about him in the bio. It's long been suspected that the grids for the 3 Seekers were switched about. These stats, since they're very high on a lot of the important areas, would suggest that this is Starscream's specs. And since Thundercracker's spec had an intelligence of 4, I would say that Thundercracker has Skywarp's statistics. But that's just a theory. At any rate, we get down to my thoughts. What do I think of Skywarp? I think Skywarp is probably the coolest looking of the 3 enemy Seekers from the first wave. Now he's one of the first that I acquired as an adult collector, and I've always loved the black and purple color scheme. I don't mind the fact that he's one of the stupid characters, because, let's face it, there's always going to be somebody in the group that's dumber than the rest of them. But Skywarp makes up for it by having a rather useful special power. Unfortunately, the Generation 1 toy, it does pale in comparison to practically all of his more modern counterparts, as they were designed with a little better engineering so that he doesn't have to have all these loose parts. I was fortunate enough to find one that was complete, and I pity anybody that's out there trying to find one now that isn't. At any rate, that's my look at the Generation 1 version of Skywarp. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please do remember that if you love the content we feature on this channel, I would appreciate a like, a share, and a comment. And please do subscribe if you haven't done so already. This is Sparkster1701 saying I'll catch you all later.